It was supposed to be Indiana Jones, Marion, and Short Round on a final adventure that would close the circle and complete what fans had been waiting to see for so very, very long. Instead, James Mangold stepped into the director's seat, brought in new writers, got a new team, and made sure to insert Phoebe Waller-Bridge and all of the wokeness that destroyed Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. It was just one more failure in a list of failures that Disney has acquired in 2023. At the time, it was the biggest financial flop in the history of cinema. However, now it's in a tight race with the Marvels and with Wish for the biggest flop of all time. But that does not fully express the disaster, the car wreck, the train wreck that was Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny. For at the same time that they were destroying what was an original great script under the direction of Steven Spielberg and switching it to the James Mangold, Kathleen Kennedy vision, they were also out there sliming accurate reporting regarding all of the sordid details surrounding Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny, attacking YouTubers, and discrediting John Williams himself. Now we have all the details and the timeline going farther than you have probably heard anywhere else, and we're going to lay it all bare, the sins of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, and one James Mangold. Hello folks, welcome back to the WDW Pro channel. A joy as always. We are going to go through exactly how Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny was absolutely a train wreck, not only publicly but privately behind the scenes. We're also going to talk about what we did not get that we should have had, and the, maybe billion-dollar mistake that was made in the end. It's going to be quite the journey. Spencer, the editor-in-chief of Bounding Into Comics, joins us. Spencer, welcome back.
Hey, bro, how's it going? Nice, happy to be here.
Yeah, let's all have fun now, folks.
And also,
our childhood's destroyed.
$1 billion? $1 billion? I think that's you're shooting really low. You're being very nice this morning.
Yeah, well, folks, you decide as you watch through the video. See if all the folks at Lucasfilm made $1 billion mistake, or am I lowballing this? Starting off with Cosmic Book News by Matt McGloin. Indiana Jones 5 rumors right, ending changed, confirms James Mangold. It was said audiences hated the test screenings. It turns out those Indiana Jones 5 rumors were right, as director James Mangold has admitted the ending to the film was changed. Recall the controversy as rumors offered that test screenings were held featuring different endings that audiences absolutely loathed. The endings are said to have included Phoebe Waller-Bridge replacing Harrison Ford at the request of Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy. The worst ending is said to have taken place in the 1930s. A young Indiana Jones sacrifices himself to save Helena, causing old Indy to fade away. Helena picks up the whip, dons the fedora, and becomes the new Indiana Jones in the classic John Williams music score hits. The leaks also said that a significant portion of the film took place in the 1930s. Regarding what James Mangold has to say, he doesn't confirm Phoebe Waller-Bridge was going to replace Harrison Ford, but he does confirm multiple endings and scripts. And folks, note that this is a departure from what he has said all the way up until now. This is James Mangold. When I came on the movie, they had been playing with a bunch of different things, which were basically just redos of what had happened in the first movie. Just more apparitions and ghosts, and I felt like I was just watching the first movie over again when I envisioned what was in the existing scripts. And I felt what Stephen and George and Larry Kasdan and David Koepp, as well as had done successfully in the other films, was to keep kind of pulling up a rock on a different aspect of history and metaphysics and not going back to the same thing again. In a way, I didn't want to do the kind of, is it a Death Star again? So there he's taking a swipe at Star Wars. That would suggest to me, Spencer, that he's not in good with Lucasfilm anymore. It's funny how they do. You know, Lucasfilm, they bring in these great directors, they have them do really stupid things, and then that relationship is soured later on when the director takes all the heat. Mangold also revealed... Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I found it interesting that he makes the reference to, I didn't want to do the Death Star again, because that was the criticism for Jedi, obviously, that everybody swings at. But Force, like, I hear him say all this, and Force Awakens was literally that.
And I think that's what he's talking about.
All the ghosts and all that fun stuff. So it's interesting that he's not calling that out specifically, but he's calling out the old trilogy specifically. It was just an interesting word choice to me.
I'm with you. And then continue what Mangold had to say. The movie is exploring the themes of time, past and present. That became my central idea, which is why the movie opens in the past and in other iterations went back there at the end. When we did start writing, it was my theory that at first we would end up back in Germany in 1938. As we got there, it started occurring to me that that's what the audience is going to be anticipating. Spencer, I want to stop there. It might have been what the audience was anticipating because the Overlord DVD YouTube channel, run by a fellow named Doomcock, he was telling everybody that's what was happening. So it seems like he had the scoop on this. So you think that's why James Mangold decided he needed to change?
I think that's probably an aspect of it. I don't think it's the core thing because there's always so many moving parts here. But we do know that in Hollywood, especially nowadays, it is very common for a creator to peruse the internet, peruse magazines, peruse anything, and go, "Oh, we should definitely change that right now. We should change it in response to that." Oh, whether it's, that's a better idea that we think is more progressive, or, oh no, they found out the twist to our show. It's way too common. So I think there's something to it.
Well, it says, we'd be plunged back into the opening of the film, only with a 79-year-old Indy running around. I felt we needed something more shocking, something bolder, and something that also affected Indy. If he'd gone back to Germany, he would simply be a hero trying to stop Waller from doing his plan. If he ended up where he does end up in the film, he was going to be facing bigger questions about his own life, like, how the heck did Phoebe carry me back through a time portal and get me on the plane and all of that, and heal me, and get Marion? Bigger questions. And I thought that was going to be more interesting, and also usually bolder is better if you can do it. Well, Indiana Jones started with a boulder, and I don't think it ended with a boulder. Doomcock was right. Again, while James Mangold hasn't confirmed that Indiana Jones was going to get killed off and replaced, he does confirm the leaked story elements that Indy was going to go back in time to the 1930s, where his younger self exists from the start of the movie. In the theatrical release, the end of the movie sees Indy time travel to the past with Helena to the siege of Syracuse in 212 BC. Goes on to talk about how Doomcock had this all the way back, and there's the tweet where he says, "There it is, folks. Mangold finally admits there were multiple endings, exactly as my spies reported once again, and never doubt, Doomcock was right." But folks, that's not all. It's not just that. It's not just what they changed. In the end, it's what we lost in the beginning. Spencer, we're looking at this out of comicbookmovie.com. Indiana Jones 5 concept art reveals scrapped Indy short round team up for a battle with zombies. So here's what I want us to understand. When James Mangold comes out and talks about what he felt was necessary, what we needed, which clearly is not, right? Because it's one of the biggest financial flops in the history of cinema. So that's a failure. That's a massive juggernaut of a failure. And I just want folks to know this is what we could have had that James Mangold said no to. So let me read it, Spencer, and I want your take on how much money this cost us
Absolutely
by not having an Indiana Jones short round Marion team up at the end. Here we go.
Even just from that little tease of the title of the premise, I'm like salivating at it. Like,
short round kicking a zombie. It looks like a Mayan or a Peruvian zombie in the face. Yeah, that might have worked pretty well.
It's kind of like that embodies Indiana Jones better than time travel. But anyway.
Oh, no doubt. Newly revealed concept art for an earlier version of Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny confirms that Lucasfilm considered bringing back Ke Huy Quan's short round for a team up with Indy. Check it out. Here's where I want to. Here's the thing. Okay, this movie made $384 million worldwide. $384 million worldwide. This movie should have made at least $1 billion had it been written in a way that was, competent. Had it been written in a way that fans wanted. But James Mangold apparently looked at this concept art that we're staring at right here. Let me see if I can get this to pull up full screen. We'll just leave it where it is. But had we been able, Spencer, to get this, there we go, folks. Always give me what you want. Yeah, I'm telling you. But Spencer, had we been able to get this, I can't imagine how much profit this movie would have made. And James Mangold, in all of his infinite wisdom, and perhaps with Kathleen Kennedy as well, and there's plenty of blame for her, they decided we didn't need this. They decided we needed Indiana Jones strapped to a goddaughter who is snarky and just annoying, and we needed to go on a romp with the two of them for the purposes of him getting injured in the third act and being a lackluster wimp of a man, another Jake Skywalker, only to find him back in bed and being taken care of by the women in his life. So how much money is this worth?
Oh, this right here, this is worth easily over $1 billion. Like, yes, the biggest problem that stands out to me from this concept art is that the zombies look a little too like it would end up being CGI-ish. But again, you get Harrison Ford, you team him up with Ke Huy Quan, who at that time is, coming back onto the scene. He's blowing up again. Obviously, he's still popular right now because people love him. He's super positive. Even here on the Pro channel, we've had many discussions about how we just love the guy. He's super positive. We want to see him come back. He is grateful. He's just fantastic. He's just a great actor, human being. So if we look at that concept art and you have this team up of Harrison Ford, Ke Kwan, and they go up against zombies, like that to me is a natural progression for Indiana Jones, where you started with the Ark of the Covenant and you had Kali Ma and all of these sort of, and the Holy Grail, these more grounded, if that's the word, I'm not sure that's the right word, but grounded adventures that had a hint of
well, we knew where we were going, Spencer. We actually had a reason to exist. This last movie had no reason to be there.
Oh no,
we didn't know why Indy wanted to go.
This last movie, the way we got it felt like a corporate cash grab to the highest extent. They didn't know what they wanted to do. Everything was obviously being set up for a new protagonist, a new female protagonist. It has all the highlights, or what is it? The hallmarks of your very typical Disney production. And that is exactly what we got.
Now, Spencer, I want to go through, I guess the revelation here is that this was a train wreck behind the scenes. Now, we knew, of course, with the injury that Indiana Jones had exclusively, we reported here that the time that Harrison Ford would be out. But so we knew some aspects were a train wreck, but we didn't realize the full extent to which the idea that Kathleen Kennedy looked at that concept art and James Mangold looked at that concept art and they went in the absolute opposite direction of what the market would want. It's amazing. But the public side of this now, Spencer, James Mangold worked on the Wolverine movie with Hugh Jackman. People thought he was great. They actually were excited in the beginning about him taking over for Indiana Jones. They thought, well, maybe he is strong enough that he can overcome Lucasfilm. And I don't know what it is, but when people go to work for Lucasfilm, they become a far lesser representation of themselves than they could be. So let's walk through now. Now that we know that Doomcock had this right, however it is that he got this right, he had it right. Let's walk through now James Mangold and what he had to say about that during a time when we didn't yet know that one of these individuals was telling the truth and one wasn't. And I also want to remind folks, too, this is not where it stops. Spencer, James Mangold in the beginning lashed out at the Salty Nerd podcast, at Matt Kadish and the fellows over there, and was extraordinarily rude to them, and they turned out to be exactly right, and he was wrong.
Oh,
so
the money.
I'm telling you. So here's what James Mangold had to say back in the day. One more time. No one is taking over or replacing Indy or donning his hat, nor is he being erased through some contrivance, and he never was, not in any cut or script, but trolls will troll. That's how they get their clicks. I'm sorry. I think this looks like James Mangold is not telling the truth. That's what it looks like to me.
There's no way that's the truth. There's no way.
And please don't exhaust me pointing out how once in a while a troll is right. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut now and then. All one has to do is look at set photos and interviews, and you get enough info to make wild guesses about a movie plot. Now we're finding out that behind the scenes, things that you could not have seen from photos and all of that were actually what was being reported on, and accurately. So again, this is just, and he keeps going. The difference between trolling a-holes and everyone else is they are trying to make money off your feelings about other films and culture war politics. They push controversial guesses as coming up from sources to gin up clicks. Let it go, end. So, Spencer, what do you make of a man, and should audiences remember this when he goes to other films, what do you make of a man who comes out and makes such vitriolic statements about people who had correctly scooped what was going on behind the scenes?
To me, it's an insane reaction, first of all, because even if, let me restart. It's an insane reaction because we're seeing this more and more out of Hollywood, right? Where if a scooper happens to have a tip, or they get an insider leaks them some information and they report on it, 8 times out of 10, you're going to have the head creator, whether it's a director or producer or whatever, of that project come out and go, no, you're all wrong. How dare you? This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Obviously, we have Mangold, but famously, we had Kevin Smith, right? And I don't know who this helps. I don't know why a lot of directors are taking this sort of combative attitude. What came to mind when I was listening to this was, Sean Levy, the director for Deadpool 3. Obviously, there are a million rumors flying around about that movie, whether it's this X-Men's coming back, this Marvel character's coming here, Taylor Swift's going to be in it. Everything's flying around, and everybody's asking him all the time. You know what Levy doesn't do? Levy doesn't go out and go, no, you're all stupid, you're all wrong. This is insane. Why are you reading so much into my movie? Levy just comes out and goes, we'll have to see. You're just going to have to see what's going to be in the movie. That's all I'm going to say. And I don't understand what happened or I guess I do understand what happened. Ego sort of, started ruling over Hollywood, or that's
but the lies, Spencer. The lies is what is, if somebody comes out and comes, they have a false scoop, and you want to just annihilate them on, and be mean and belittling to them. It's not a good strategy, but fine.
Right.
But when you're sitting there knowing that this person has scooped you, and you're just absolutely annihilating their character, that's beyond the pale.
And that's what I mean by ego, is that they can't, when these creators get hit with that, when it's a leak of some sort and they think that everything's being encroached on, instead of humbly accepting that sometimes information gets out there and this is how entertainment and media works, they project it. They make it your problem. They go, you're the bad one. How dare you look at a leak? How dare you listen to this information that somebody said out there? Again,
you're a nut. You're a nut, and you're following a nut. And we are the elites, and you should listen to us. But Spencer, that's not what was happening behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, there was a flurry of activity to try to pull back and get away from this. And this really gets into the realm of where the folks at That Park Place, with Jonas J. Campbell and myself, started finding stuff out. And so here is Jonas J. Campbell. He, I believe, was one of the first ones to find this clip and share it with everybody. Last night, John Williams told his audience that they are shooting a new ending to Indiana Jones 5 in a couple weeks. Thank you to Doomcock for the find. Added captions for you. Here's what we got.
3 pieces from Indiana Jones 5. I thought we would be finished with Indiana Jones after 4. You know Harrison Ford. You all know Harrison Ford. And Harrison is 78 years old, but he's much younger than I am. But I thought, if he can do 5 of them, I have to try to do the 5. So we have just about completed the film. We have maybe another ending to shoot and to record maybe in a couple of weeks.
And there was the tell that they were going back and scrambling to fix all of this. But this is what's horrible. I mean, this just gets worse and worse. Mangold then belittled the man in his 90s, John Williams. Here's what he says. John was mistaken. Maybe read Twitter too much. We're not shooting new endings. Never did. The film is 99% finished and being rated by the MPAA. This imagined zany ending with Indy being erased and replaced is a fever dream of wounded folks angry about other films I did not make. You mean like the short round thing. And then he goes on to say, joking, mistaken, or misinformed, not happening. Then he says, I agree that he's one of the greatest composers in the history of film and also one of the most lovely people on earth, and he's fully informed. But this is where it ultimately came to a head. And this is the one that I actually scooped myself. I found this video, and we shared this and brought it on the channel. Here it is in the article. Check this out. This is where we find out that in reality, all of this was a bunch of bunk. John Williams was right. James Mangold was wrong. Doomcock was right. James Mangold was wrong. We've all been right about all of this because we've all been reporting accurately on this, while James Mangold is out there acting like a nut and needed to lower the dial by about 90%. Here's Harrison Ford admitting that they came back in and reshot the ending with Marion, and here we go.
We did a little work on the ending, which was the last thing that I shot with Karen Allen, who has been a substantial part of the whole thing, but appears in this story only briefly at the end, but with a very strong emotional hook. I felt nostalgia. I felt a sense of accomplishment. Proud of the film, happy with the film. But like every good thing, there comes a right time to go on to something else.
So then let's see, Spencer, how this played out with Marion herself. This out of Screen Rant by Ryan Northrup. Check this out as we scroll down to what Karen Allen had to say. She says, when Steven was still going to direct the film, I didn't have the opportunity to read any of those scripts, although I know that Marion was much more involved in the story at that juncture, apparently short round as well. Steven and I had spoken after he decided he was going to step down as director, and he said to me, you're going to love working with James Mangold. And I said, oh, great. So I knew James had hired new writers and that there was going to be a whole new approach with a new director, new writers, but I was really going into the unknown. And the next thing I knew, I was reading a script that told the Dial of Destiny story, and of course I was disappointed. I had thought that I would be majorly a part of the film, and that was just not the direction they decided to go. I think they had some problems to solve with the story in terms of Shia LaBeouf not coming back, and they chose to create the story that Mutt had been killed in the war and that had put a wedge between Marion and Indy. I mean, you could have knocked me over with a feather when I read it, but I was really happy that they came back together in the end. Now, based on what we know, Spencer, with all of these endings and with the fact that Harrison Ford admitted that they came back and redid the ending, you combine that with John Williams, and Marion was inserted into the movie at the last minute to try to save face. Yeah. I think it goes to show just what an absolute I've got some expletives here. I'm not going to say them. What a hellacious experience it was behind the scenes with James Mangold, getting rid of everything that could have worked and replacing it with a bunch of woke nonsense, and then having to scale that back at the end because he was being scooped by online YouTubers, dare I say journalists, who were figuring out what he was up to, and then he struck out like a snake at them, in my estimation, unhappy that they had managed to pull forth what was really happening with Indy. But Spencer, how much money do you think the original Indiana Jones 5 that we've been looking at would have made versus what we received in the end?
Oh, man, I'm really bad with numbers, but I'm, like I said when we were talking about the concept art, I'm thinking the Kei Kwan bump, the actual adventure bump, the respect to a character bump.
Indy still in love with Marion bump.
Right, yeah, right. You could probably have crossed $1 billion worldwide with this pretty easily. I definitely think they could have done that.
And you know, the other thing, Spencer, is that if you'd had Short Round being partnered up with Indiana Jones, that would have given you the hook to draw people back in, and it would have been the concluding note. You know, in music, you're always looking to come back to the beginning note to find that resonance. And so with Short Round, chronologically, Temple of Doom is the first movie. And so you could have had that proper close. Also, you would have had the ability then for people to walk away going, oh, okay, so Short Round continues the adventures later on. We don't have to watch them. There don't have to be sequels, because I don't think that's where the franchise should go, if it goes anywhere. But you would have at least had the circle completed. And instead, they decided to, again, do what they do so many times with all of these franchises, at least every franchise that Lucasfilm has been in charge of. And they decided to invert everything and introduce a strong, modern woman with the modern divisive politics of the day, who is better and superior in every way to all the men around her, who saves the day and disparages the hero, and the hero is lesser than all the way throughout the movie. And, you know, it's amazing to me when folks look back at this year and say, how did Disney break the records? How did they manage to lose more money than any studio had ever even come close to in a single year? It's literally because they went so woke and they went so broke with all of these. It's nuts. Spencer, final thoughts about, I guess this is it, folks. I guess this is the last Indiana Jones 5 video that I intend to make, unless there's a response. We have finished out the sordid tale and laid bare the sins of how it appears to be for James Mangold and the process behind this. But Spencer, your final thoughts on what I suspect is the final commentary we'll give on Indy.
Let's hope it's the final commentary, right?
Oh, please.
As far as final thoughts, I think the biggest thing that sort of sits in my mind throughout this entire discussion, and it has been ever since Mangold sort of was coming out here going, oh, Waller-Bridge that ending isn't happening. She's not taking up the whip in the hat. That's not her, blah, blah, blah. It's, who are you kidding? Of course that's what it was. That's all we've seen out of Lucasfilm. Obviously, like, we saw it in Willow, we saw it in Star Wars. That is Lucasfilm now under the direction of Kathleen Kennedy. So I don't know why. Who are you trying to fool? It's sort of like, you're not solving anything. You're really just kicking the can down the road, because you go, oh, no, that's not our ending now. And everybody goes, or not everybody, but some people will go, okay, Mangold says that's not it. We'll give it a shot. And then they get in there and, oh man, it's an even bigger disaster. Da, 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 da. It's all over the place. It's not great. Don't really trust anything coming out of Lucasfilm, but also, I mean, Disney in general. It's just Dial of Destiny is a microcosm example of everything that's wrong with that company right now.
Indeed. Let's go now to the last paragraph in the Bounding into Comics article. I want to read this to everybody as we wrap up today. In a video on WDW Pro's channel, Midnight's Edge founder Andre reacted to Ford's comments and noted that fans need to hold Mangold accountable for disparaging them. He said, hold him accountable for it. Retweet his earlier statements and don't let him get away with it. Simple as that. Now, of course, no one should do anything more than that. When you blatantly lied and you have unfairly maligned and attacked your own audience, and you were lying in doing so, then I see no problem with reminding them of that fact, especially when the movie fails, as it is going to. WDW Pro added, Matt Kadish and Doomcock, they deserve apologies at this point. They reported correctly. And after today, folks, we know that that is more true, even more true than we knew back when all of these articles were coming out originally, back when we were hot on the trail. Apparently, every bit of it seems to have been true, the whole lot of it.
Well, let me ask you a question. Hold on, let me ask you a question, Mr. Pro. Who's going to get an apology first? Will it be Doomcock and Kadish from Mangold, or will it be Clownfish TV from Kevin Smith? I'll also pose that to the chat. Let us know what you think.
That's a great way. Yes, in the chat, folks, let us know which side is going to get that apology first. And folks, in the meantime, click that like button, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. As we just said, let us know which side will get the apology. Folks, don't forget that the Pro Show is moving to Tuesdays at noon Eastern Time. It's our new slot. Just like Midnight's Edge is Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at noon, so too the Pro Show will be on Tuesdays. That Park Place is also moving to Thursdays at noon, which means Monday through Friday, you have at the exact same time slot something to watch from your favorite channels and content creators, often sharing the same panelists. All right, folks, that's a wrap for today. We hope it's the end of Indy. We really, really do, because this is just pathetic at this point. But it's nice to lay bare. That's right. It's nice to lay bare what was happening and put it in the sunlight, and hopefully there it shall stay. Folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Oh.
What are you doing?
Well, you see, I wanted to get some inside scoops on Disney and their, different corporations, if you know what I mean. So I figured by looking into this fistbowl and sucking it randomly with my own energy that I pay for, you paid for, I could do the whole experience where you can be a master and spy on your targets.
You're an idiot. If you want to get the inside scoop on Disney or even other media organizations, you should check out thatparkplace.com and subscribe to WDW Pro's YouTube channel. That'd be way easier, more accurate, and, less dumb.
Are you saying I won't get accurate information this way?
No, you can't.
Who'd have think?